Mr. Luna, if you please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Elcha?
Here.
Mr. Lindemann?
Here.
Mr. Ramos?
Here.
Mr. Breen?
Here. Just a little housekeeping. We're going to have a PowerPoint regarding the student enrollment and all of the ramifications of that, right? And of course, that was at the behest of Ms. Salchow and other board members. So what I want to do is, instead of having that item A, when we get to you, Denise, for the report, can we do the PowerPoint then? Because it would be part of your report. All right. Okay, with that, item 1D, approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the January.
I move to approve the minutes.
By Mr. Lindemann. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Ramos. Any discussion, members of the board? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Elcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item 1E, summary of current events, Superintendent Samaniego.
Before we begin today, I'd like to take a moment to show our respect and honor one of our Douglas High School teachers who passed over the Christmas break, Mr. Raymond Pacheco, a CT teacher, very well respected and greatly appreciated by his students. So I want to take a moment of silence on his behalf. Thank you. As far as any current events, well, we have a day off coming Monday after a 2-week break. Can you believe it? That's what I thought. I said, do I have a day off? It is a holiday, Martin Luther King, so schools and district offices will be closed. We are beginning our semester 2 and quickly approaching what we consider testing season coming up, starting with the Zala right around the corner, followed by our state testing. And so this is a very crucial time of the year where we ask all parents to send kids to school. Their importance matter, their attendance matters, and we need to prepare for testing season. That is all I have. And then I have my Superintendent Gem Award, if I may. For this month's, the month of December, the Superintendent's Gem Award goes to Ms. Priscilla Cordova, who is our instructional coach for our curriculum department. She is our new teacher induction coach, and she was nominated by her colleagues, multiple colleagues around the district. She continues to work to improve the culture of the district, supporting new teachers. She is, a great asset to the district and is willing and able to assist the new teachers in anything that they need, and really working with the curriculum department to improve our whole new teacher induction, and working with ADE people now that are supporting our mission. So, Ms. Cordova, if you may. So, Ms. Priscilla Cordova, you are being presenting the Superintendent's Gem Award for being an extraordinary employee and going the extra mile with the new teachers in our program. Thank you so much. And I selected this color because it just fits your smile, your ray of willingness to help, and so I think it's a well-deserved honor. Thank you. Thank you. So,
Thank you. Congratulations. Go ahead.
And that's all I have. Next is,
Go ahead with the
next
ceremony.
we have our student presentation today is from Sarah Marley Elementary School, and we have Ms. Vasquez and Ms. Zabalza, and I think a few students, and Mr. Henry Jones.
Hi, how are you? I just wanted to say thank you. I've got Ms. Zavalza and Ms. Vasquez here. They're going to bring some teachers up to talk about the phonics program that they've been using. This thing is new. It's rolled out recently. Ms. Walker and some of the teachers have been developing that. And I also want to say real quick thank you to all the families who came out on this cold night to help us out. So come on up, kiddos. No need to be nervous. And I'm gonna let the teachers take it over. Do you need me to do anything?
Can we have them sit there?
Mm-hmm, sure.
You guys need me to hold anything?
Good afternoon. I'm Ms. Abalsa, first grade teacher, Sarah Marley. Since October, we have been working with a new phonics program that has as main objective make learning more natural and organic. This program, encouraged by Ms. Walker, is focused in phonics and phonemical awareness that are foundational reading and writing skills.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ms. Vasquez from Sarah Marley, first grade teacher as well. So one of the things that we would like to say about this program is that we started this in second quarter, and it's been great, and the kids have been liking it very much. They enjoy the fun stuff that we are able to do, the mimics and the little gestures that we do with it that comes with the program. And one of the things that has been awesome for us is that it's been working a lot with our EL learners, our English language learners. So we're just gonna have a very small presentation of the routine that we have daily. This has been implemented in our 90 block reading part of our day of our curriculum. So we just wanna show you what the kids do and what we are doing as well with them.
Okay, I'm gonna start doing Haggerty, which are different drills to practice skills that will give them the phonemical awareness they need to improve their writing and reading. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Okay, we're gonna start with our first skill, that it's blending phonemes. What are we gonna do?
Blending phonemes.
I'll give you a word, I'll give you phonemes, and you're going to blend the word. Ready? So we have sh or t,
Short.
sh, s,
Chest.
sh, u, t.
Shoot.
Kids your brain, good job. Now we're going to isolate the medial sound. What are we gonna do?
The radio sound.
Good job. So I say the word, you repeat the word, and then we identify the sound. So your word is shed,
Shed. Ed.
side,
Side. I'd.
bake.
Bake. Egg.
Good job. Say good job, my friend. Okay, now I'll give you a word, you repeat the word, and then we're going to segment into phonemes. Ready? So your word is short.
Short. Short. Short.
How many phonemes?
3.
Good job. Chess.
Chest. S. Chest. 3.
Good job. Thief.
Teeth. Eve. Teeth.
Good job. Kiss your brain, you're doing it really good. We're gonna do another skill. We're going to add a phoneme, okay? So say ill,
Ill.
add ch.
Chill.
Say out,
Out.
add ch.
Out.
Say ch. I'm sorry. Say ild.
Ill.
Say add ch.
Chill.
Good job. Okay, now we're going to delete a phoneme. So say shed
Shed.
without ch.
Ed.
Say that
That.
without d.
At.
Say short
Short.
without ch.
Ort.
Good job. Kiss your brain. Good job. Last one. We're going to substitute phonemes. Ready? So say seat.
Seat.
Take out s, add w.
We.
Good job. Say keep.
Kid.
Take out k, add ch.
Chick.
Say mess.
Mess.
Take out add ch.
Chest.
Because your brain say, good job, my friend. Good job. You did it great. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Very good, very good.
So what Ms. Zavalza just did is something that's been taking us a while. As you can see, she can do it fast. Some do it faster. Some of us do it a little bit slower. But we're getting to learn it, and there's another school that started it before us, and that's, we've been getting a lot of help from them as well. And it's been great. The kids love it, and we're seeing results. So one of the things, the last thing that we're going to show you, this is also part of it. We have these charts that we use with the kids, and it helps them with the spelling. Specifically, we're trying to help them be great spellers, because we know that even though first grade is foundation, we want them to be able to read other words as they go on to second, third, and all of those upper grades. So we have this. I try to do the same boxes there in that chart. So I'm going to have each kid quickly go up there, and they're going to show us the boxes for each sound that they hear. They're going to break it down. They're going to do finger stretch. Okay? So we're going to start with the first word. Okay? Priscilla, can you go up there? You're going to go ahead and show the wonderful people that are watching you, and you're going to show how smart you are. Okay? So everybody else is going to help you as well. We're going to finger stretch the word that. So let's finger stretch, boys and girls. That. How many boxes will you need? 3. Can you go ahead and point them? Good job. Thank you, Priscilla. Go ahead and sit down. So what we're doing there is we're showing them, like, for example, right now we're working with digraphs. So one box has the TH, so they know it's just one sound. Okay? The next one. Go ahead, Mija. Go ahead, Daniela. You're going to do the word chips. Okay? So let's finger stretch chips. Ch, I, P, S. Okay, how many boxes? Good job. Excellent. Thank you, Daniela. Go ahead, Daniel. We're going to do the word chops. Okay, let's go ahead and help them. Let's finger stretch. Okay, let's try it again. Chops. Ch. Chops. Good job. Go ahead and try it. Let's try it again. Let's do it. Ch, a, p, s. Chops. Do one at a time. P, s. Now read it. Pull it. There you go. Good job. Thank you, Darian. Go ahead, Samara. You're going to do rash. Let's finger stretch. Sh, rash. How many? 3. Go ahead and do it. Good job. Excellent. Thank you. It's 4. Try it again. Do it again. Rash. It's rash. When you have a rash. Yeah. So go ahead and do it. Good job. Do it again. Good job. Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead, Adeline. You're going to do the word shop. Can you finger stretch it, boys and girls? Shh. Good job. Go ahead. Good job. And the last one, go ahead, Devani. Last one. Bless you. The last word is mess. Mess. Can you go ahead and finger stretch, boys and girls?
Mess.
Go ahead, Devani. All right, thank you. Thank you, boys and girls. Kiss your brains. Awesome. Thank you. This is just a little demonstration of the work that we've been doing with the kids. And thanks to the help from Miss Katie Walker, and the first grade team has been doing great with this. We've been working very, very good with this program. So thank you. Go ahead, boys and girls. Thank you.
Don't go away. Stay up there a minute. Members of the board, do you have any questions or comments? None. I do, because I'm extremely interested in language. And one of the things that that stood out to me was, first of all, was this a random presentation tonight? This wasn't something that you went over and rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. This is the way it would be in the classroom, right? Right. And the other thing is the CH, because of the ethnicity, the majority of the ethnicity in that school. Do you pick that specifically because of the difficulty of some of those kids having pronounced that CH?
Well,
Do you know what I'm saying? They don't, even adults, adults that learned English as a second language have a very difficult time with the CH, right?
Yes.
So the question is, did you pick that specifically?
For this presentation?
Yes.
Actually, no, that's the scope and sequence has.
No, I mean, it's part of the regular curriculum. I mean, when you do your daily lesson plans or whatever, do you pick specific things that you know those kids have difficulty with?
Well, we have, if I'm understanding the question, but we do, and, because we try to make we go over the specific digraphs, and when we do for example, SH and the CH, we point to our mouths, and we do, to make sure that they're
Right.
they're seeing how the sound, the effect on their throat, and how when they put their hand here. So we do those things just so that the students can see the difference between, for example, sheep and chips. You know,
Right.
those are the things that we do see with the kids. And like you said, some of the adults, we also have that problem. But yeah, we stress that, and it's part of it. It's there, and we follow it through. And sometimes it might have us make a little bit more time or spend more time on that because of that. But if we do see that they're getting it, or the majority, then we can go through, or we can just do some interventions with the ones that are having a little bit more, are struggling.
Very good. You know, that's a very, very interesting program, and I'm really
Yeah.
personally glad to see that it's at that school particularly
Yes.
because of the attendance of the students here. Thank you very much. That was a very, very interesting presentation, and I don't know if the
Yes,
superintendent-
and I just want to add that this is, one of our focuses is to improve third grade reading scores. And so a lot of the reading programs that have been in existence at DUSD don't have a strong phonics component, as many of us learned back in the day. So we're trying to bring that back. And Mrs. Walker worked with the team of K3 teachers, focusing right now first on K2 to develop a scope and sequence to teach these phonetic skills. In addition to a lot of our elementary teachers are taking the ADE letters training, which also is teaching us a lot of these strategies to teach phonics. So it's across the board at all 5 elementary schools. So,
Okay,
thank
okay,
you.
so members of the board, that didn't prompt any questions or comments?
Actually,
Ms. Salchow.
When you're teaching phonemes, and I love this lesson, it was really great, thank you. When you're teaching phonemes, is there a difficulty in crossing over between phonemes to segmented words?
Yeah.
You know, because chops. So, they're counting that out. I just wonder, do you see a difficulty in moving into the syllables, like a changeover?
Well, we do see our students as is, especially the language learners they struggle a lot. And we do see that, and since this is I guess the consistency, and this program has been showing us that it goes through the rhyming, the onset, the rhyme, the blending, the segmenting, all of those things, it's very complete, and it gives us throughout the day, each day of each week, what we're gonna do and say, and you can see the progress on the kids, because they're not even quite seeing, or they can't necessarily see me or say that they're learning, oh, I'm learning to do this, but they're able to do that. When we're doing our tests, like for example, Dibbles, it shows that they're able to, which is we would say a word and they wouldn't be able to say the sounds. They would just say if I say cat, they would just cat. And now they're able to, segment and and we go back. So for example, if I say, okay, if I say truck, what did I say? They'll be like truck, and they're excited. It's a different approach, and it's been working.
It is. It's much newer, and of course, thank God.
Yeah.
I have a kindergarten granddaughter,
Okay.
And she works with, I work with her with sight words and things, and she's always like chopping on her
Yes.
arm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things like that. They help the kids, especially the smaller ones, because their attention, I mean, we'll lose it very
Well,
quickly. But
You're doing a nice job, and thank you.
thank you. Thank you, guys.
Very
Thank
good.
you,
Members of
boys
the
and
board,
girls.
Anybody else? Administration?
No, thank you, boys and girls,
Thank you
for
again.
coming out here
Thank
and
you very
showing
much.
us what you've been learning, okay? Keep on learning, right?
Yes.
'Cause you're all gonna be great readers. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
You can't hurt that podium, I'll guarantee you.
Hey, it looks nice. That poster looked really nice there.
Alma got a letter from the Smithsonian Institute the other day.
They want it.
Came out of the Chicago fire.
Thank you, parents, for bringing your children.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome to
Thank you.
stay, but you don't have to.
Okay, we're down to governing board members' reports. Mr. Smith? Anything? Ms. Salchow?
No.
Mr. Lindeman?
No report.
Mr. Ramos?
None.
I just want to make a comment about an incident that took place at the basketball game the other night. I don't know if Bruce Quentin, is he still here? Did you get pictures of that cheer line fixing that? You don't happen to have them. Anyway, it was to show you the versatility of our cheer line, and you know they're well recognized anyway, right? I mean they win state competitions all the time. But the net, the referee stopped the game for a second because the net had come undone from the rim, and everybody was scurrying around, didn't know what to do. They were looking for ladders, and it was an unexpected incident, right? It's something that doesn't happen very often. If it happens in college or the NBA, you know those guys can just reach up and fix it. But the cheer line immediately went up there, and they put that. I don't know the name of that girl. She's the smallest one. And she went up there and very calmly and very effectively put that. It was a great picture, and I think Bruce is going to. Are you going to run a picture of that, Bruce?
It already ran on Sunday. It's online.
on the-
Oh, okay. All right. I just want those are the good things like
Yeah.
that presentation that just happened. Those are the good things that happen in our schools, and of course, again, the versatility of that cheer line. All right, we're going to move on then to the. School activity report, Mr. Luna.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. President Brain, Superintendent Samaniego, members of the board, DUSD faculty and staff, and members of the public. The activity report for Douglas High School and DUSD schools for the month of January is as follows. We have some amazing news to share about our students and staff at Douglas High School. The science showcase was a success, and also the girls basketball won the Benson Holiday Classic. As for what's going on in our district, report cards will go out this week. Activities and events at Douglas High School. January 18th through the 20th is the AAA Spirit Line State Qualifier and Championships. January 19th through the 20th is the FFA Pinnacle Conference / Mini Camp. January 22nd will be the NHS Induction Ceremony. And February 2nd will be the Winter Talent Show. At Riverine Middle School. Congratulations to our school spelling bee winners. Maria Acosta from 6th grade is in first place, followed by first runner-up Joshua Quiros, in 6th grade as well, and Natalia Salinas in 8th grade as second runner-up. Quarter 2 awards assembly will be Friday, January 19th. At Paul Huber Middle School. Congratulations to Paul Huber Middle School school spelling bee winners. First place, George Cervantes, 7th grade. Runner-up is Giovanni Laredo from 8th grade. And second runner-up is Jimena Hernandez Enriquez from 6th grade. Quarter 2 awards assembly will be Thursday, January 18th. And Quarter 3 middle school sports starts girls basketball / boys soccer. Clawson Elementary School. Quarter 2 awards assembly will be held Wednesday, January 17th, and the 100th day of school will be on January 18th. At Stevenson Elementary School. The 100th day of school celebration will be on Friday, January 19th, and the Quarter 2 awards assembly will be that same day. At Joe Carlson Elementary School. The Quarter 2 assembly will be on January 18th. They will be having a 100th day celebration, and DHS band visits Joe Carlson on January 29th. At Sir Marley Elementary School, they'll also have a 100th day of school celebration on Friday, January 19th, along with a second quarter awards assembly Friday, January 19th. And finally, at Ferris Elementary School, congratulations to our school spelling bee winners. First place is Ethan Arvizu, second place is Janessa Cruz, and third place is Chantal Galindo. Parent conferences for quarter 2 will be held on Wednesday, January 17th. Our Move On When Reading parent meeting for 3rd grade will be on Tuesday, January 29th.
Thank you very much. Members of the board, do you have any comments or questions of Mr. Luna? We're going to do the PowerPoint now because I want to wait and do the budget because this could prompt some questions regarding the budget, depending on some of the information you're going to give us regarding ADM and all those things that are associated with it. So if we're ready, are you ready to do that PowerPoint now?
Okay, so good evening. This is the district enrollment current up to December. Okay, I do want to share that we have, at the end of December, 3,716 students, and we withdrew 18 and had 19 students enroll. So, okay, so this is our school ADM. ADM is average daily membership. This is what we get funded for, the amount of students we get funded for. Okay, and so what I did is I took an average of every week because Mrs. Flores from the New Student Center sends me a report by week. So I just took the average. At the beginning of the year, those were our numbers. Clausen had 285, Ferris 122, Joe Carlson 377, Sarah Marley 269, Stevenson 348, Huber 415, RBMS 368, and the high school 1404. So then you can see in August, after, we have our first 2 weeks, and then we have our first 10-day drops. It dropped at Clausen, it dropped at Sarah Marley, it dropped at Stevenson, it dropped at Huber, it dropped a little at RBMS, and then it dropped at the high school. Ferris had an increase, and so did Joe Carlson. So then you can see September, October, November, December, and then at the end of the semester, Clausen ended with 278, Ferris 126, Joe Carlson 373, Sarah Marley 268, Stevenson 335, Huber 402, RBMS 370, and Douglas High School at 1342. Please keep in mind that this is ADM only, not total enrollment, okay? Because our total enrollment is different than our ADM.
Can you explain that?
Take a minute to explain that to the board, just in case, just to kind of re-solidify with them what the difference is between ADM and ADA, and why don't you go over that? It's important.
Okay, so our total enrollment includes all students. So preschool students, kinder students, students that we may have that may be like the Arizona School Deaf and Blind. We have students from that. So we have the students, they get the funding. So we don't have, kinder has only half-day funding. We don't get funded for the whole day, okay?
And
So
preschool.
Preschool. And preschool, we don't get funded at all for preschool. So that is why we have a difference between our enrollment data and our ADM numbers. Our ADM numbers is what we get funded for. So all numbers matter, but our ADM is what we get funded for.
Okay, members of the board, do you have any questions regarding that? Because it's going to be interesting in a minute when we get to that. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
And Mrs. Cox, before you move on, so I want to point out the fact that I think the biggest impact was in August and September, because overall, if you add up the difference in numbers, Mrs. Flores said in that month alone, that's where we lost about 400, I want to say about 400 kids total.
Yes.
So, and go on.
And so what we have to remember is that we have kids who were withdrawn and kids who are enrolling. So August especially is a crucial month. So we see a lot of change, a lot of fluctuation in that month. Okay. Any questions on that slide? No? Okay. Okay, so then what we did this year that we hadn't done previously is that we have this survey that went out to the parents who have withdrawn their students. And so this is a breakdown of what we have. And you'll see the numbers are a little bit different, and then I will explain why I believe that the numbers are different. So at Clawson, we had 8 students transferred to another school here in town. And 7 of those students went to Loretto and 1 went to Cass. We had students who moved away, out of state. We had 1 guardianship that was withdrawn because of guardianship. Then the no-shows or 10-day drops, and then students that went to either homeschool or online.
Explain why that person was dropped because of guardianship. That's also important
Yes.
for the board to know.
So this student previously had a guardian, and so they have to petition the court every year. And so the court is now stricter on when they grant guardianships. And so unfortunately, this guardian was no longer able to have that guardianship. And so we lost the student. Parents didn't have an address here.
Do you members of the board any questions regarding that? No. Okay, because there's a lot of guardianships in the district that are still
Yes.
out there. Go ahead.
And last year, it was a bigger impact with guardians than this year. So we saw a lot more of that last year. Ferris, we only had 1 student transfer to another school, which was Omega. And then you see the students that moved out of town, and no-shows. And we've talked about that in the past, how many of our students are leaving the district due to parents moving out of town. So then we have Joe Carlson, and they had 6 students. 4 went to Loretto, 2 went to Liberty. And they had 19 students move out of town. And then they had 5 students who didn't either show up or it was a 10-day drop. Okay, and then one student that went to online. Sarah Marley had 9 students. 3 went to Loretto, 1 went to Cass, 1 to Omega, and 4 to Liberty. 16 of their students moved out of town. Stevenson had 14 students who withdrew. 9 of those students went to Loretto, 2 went to Cass, 3 to Liberty, and then they had students who moved out of town or were no-shows. Huber had 11, so 4 went to Loretto, 1 to Cass, 1 to Omega, 5 to Liberty, because they are K-8, so they have a middle school at Liberty. 9 of those students moved out of town. Rayburn also lost 9 students, 1 to Loretto, 2 to Cass, 2 to Omega, 3 to Liberty, and 1 to Peptech. That one was interesting because Peptech is high school, so that one was interesting to me. And then
Why? Because they
Maybe
double
bumped them
promoted?
up. Maybe bumped them up.
yes, so that's what I'm thinking is
Okay.
maybe that was a student that was retained and went to Peptech and they moved him
Okay, go ahead.
to high school. And then DHS had 15 students who went to another school, 4 to Cass, 4 to Omega, and 7 to Peptech. And they had 41 students who moved out of town. And then they had 17 students who were either a no-show or a 10-day drop. And 10 students went to either homeschool or online. So the numbers are interesting. Questions?
Yeah, you stated that we had a bigger impact last year than this year. Do you think that impact is due to the guardianship being more stricter? Or what is that? Why was there a bigger impact last year than this year? What helped out this year? Or we never recovered the ones we lost in reality?
So I don't think we recovered the ones we lost to a full extent last year. And I think the change this year is that parents and guardians know that the courts are being stricter, and so we're not seeing so many come across as guardianships.
But I think what you were saying, the impact, we saw a greater impact on the guardianships being denied last year. So that's where we saw more being denied last year than this year. And I think that's what she was referring to.
Yes, and the parents, are they specifically letting us know why they're pulling them out and you sending them to the other schools here?
I don't know. I don't know how they're doing it at the other
But
schools.
parents aren't being asked why they're withdrawing their kids.
So we ask them, and so this is the information that's provided. So it's either they're going to another school, but they're not telling us it's due to
Why?
a guardianship per se. They're just saying we're moving them to Omega, we're moving them to Peptic, but
And
not
that
saying.
could be a chunk of, the students that went to one of the charter schools or to Loretto. It could be some of those guardianships. And then the fact that they also may be able to get the scholarship
Yes.
portion
And the
to pay the
vouchers.
tuition, the vouchers or the scholarship that for the Catholic school. That
Well,
may be.
it would be good to know if that is the reason, and it's not a reason that they're dissatisfied with the district. That's my concern there.
Yes. And so we did ask that question as well. If,
But none of them were that information.
no. So on my next slide, I will explain a little more about what they said, why they left. Okay.
You know, before we go to the next slide, I just wanted to pose a question. Can we assume that the students that go to Liberty and Loretto will come back to the high school? We can assume that.
Yes. And some parents did say, we're moving them, we're gonna try it out, and then, they'll probably,
And some do have come back.
some have come back. Yes. And we never fully recovered from COVID, from those years. We lost a lot of enrollment, and we never really regained that enrollment. And then the guardianships hit us last year. So there's a lot of things that are impacting enrollment.
As long as we're not losing them because they're dissatisfied.
Yes.
That's my, if you can look into that.
Yes,
And make sure if we need to make changes, then we have to make changes on that.
yes,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, looking at the high school on the no-show and the drops, or any of these, I mean, we have an attendance clerk and we have Title I parent liaisons. Is there intervention being given for students? Like if the parent liaison or the attendance clerk notices that one student has already missed 5 or 6 days and they're looking towards either no credit or a 10-day drop, is there intervention? Are parents contacted? Are we, going to and I hate to say this, but going to the houses, because, I know how difficult it is to leave your school to go out and do that type of thing. And providing that's my main concern. Or do we just, they hit 10 days and then they're dropped?
So they have to try to reach out to the families, so they do home visits. And then they have to document that they've gone to the home, that they've tried to reach the parents. So we are trying to do what we can to see why the students are missing or what we can do. And some of them were able to help and others just do not respond.
Because I know that someone in that school, whether it's children or students, fellow students, a teacher, someone, or even on the emergency card, the number not related to the family, somebody knows where that child is or what's going on. At least whether they moved and they're on the drop and the parents didn't go through the process of withdrawing them. I mean, somebody knows. So when I see that, and I just have to question, what's going on there?
Yes.
Why 17 at Douglas High School? That's a biggie.
Yes.
And there is extensive back and forth attempt from the parent liaison. The parent liaison will go to the home with the school security, multiple phone calls A lot of them, the feedback is, because I really stressed that we can't, as soon as you have a child that's gone for 3 days, there has to be an attempt. And not just once, I called and no answer. No, it's an ongoing. And I think that's where the frustration is from the school side, that either parents are not picking up, they try to contact the emergency contacts, a friend of a friend, hey, do you know where Jana is, and sort of those things. So that I can really say we are attempting to do. And many parents have that frustration as a parent side. I can't get my child to go to school.
Right.
I can't get him out of the bed. I can't get him, to get out of the car. And there's some of that going on as well. But I will say, every school, every parent liaison, every security, even principals are doing home visits.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Denise.
Next slide, Marco, please. Okay, so this is a little about what we were talking about, Mr. Ramos. So parents are given the survey when they contact the New Student Center to withdraw their child or their children. And it's either we send it out if we have an email address, or the ladies in the New Student Center called each parent. And so we had 141 completed results. So many parents could have 2 or 3 students, but they're only answering one survey. So this is what we got back when we asked, why are they leaving our district? So 4 of those surveys that returned were anxiety or mental health for their students. 18 of them went to another school because they said there were better opportunities at that particular school. We had 6 students or 6 parents who addressed bullying. One of them was change of address. 5 said they were going to a Christian school, so we all know what school they went to. Class size, which was odd in a way, because due to the enrollment decrease, our class sizes are much smaller than they've been. So, but that's what the parents said. Conduct. Credits, they were short on credits. Family situations, so in this category there were either pregnancies, or they had to go away to due to family situations. One of them was foster home. 3 of them went to homeschool. One parent said that she moved all of her kids to one school, so I guess she had them in different places. 46 of them moved out of town. 1 said not getting help. 8 of them online. 2 said it was safety. They were concerned that we didn't have safety protocols in place. 1 said that their child was very stressed out at school. 7 of them do not want to attend school, so they're having issues with having their child attend. 16 of them stated that there was a lack of support, either from teachers and principals. And 1 of them did say they received a voucher and they wanted to try that school.
And those that reported that they weren't getting support, and the ones that they were having trouble to get their kids to school, do we have personnel doing the home visit to actually go to the residents and see what the situation is, what to help, not just by communicating by online or by phone?
So I don't have that information because it was just a survey and they didn't go into that detail. So I can't tell you whether they've reached out to the teacher or the principal or what has been done. But we can start asking when parents say something like this, ask them for more information.
What I started doing, Mr. Ramos, because that number is high for me. It's a concern, and just lack of support can be different reasons or different ways of lack of support. It can be, a teacher. It can be the office staff never, gave me the homework packet that I requested, and different things. So what I have asked at New Student Center as a measure to try to be the last pair of hands that, and faces that our parents see, is that when a parent goes over to New Student Center and says, you know, I want to remove my child from the district because, let's say the principal is not doing anything about the bullying that's going on and they're not listening to me. So they have to meet with Mrs. Ana Flores, who is the, let's say, the first line of defense at New Student Center as a supervisor, and she'll have a conversation with them. If they are still adamant about, even after the conversation about withdrawing, then Ana is to immediately contact either Mrs. Cox or myself, and we will personally meet with that family, because I want to know what is it that is not being, you know, of support service, what is going on, and can we do anything as that last line of defense before that family chooses, let's say, to take him to Omega, or put him at homeschool because of a bullying issue, or because they feel that, you know, the teacher's not supportive, or you know, there's not enough sports in the school, whatever that is. And so that is what we immediately started doing, that if that parent says, I'm out of here, they're gonna meet with Denise and I as the last resort. If Ana can't say, let me call the principal, let me set up a meeting, let's try to work this out and see if we can get you to stay and see what we can do.
Is this a new plan? Is this some, you know, a new type of thing that you're implementing, or has this been going on all along?
No,
It
we
started
addressed that, I addressed that with New Student Center as soon as the surveys started happening.
okay.
And so they know, this was last semester, we haven't seen any families, but that's maybe because the reasons of them leaving are not because they feel the school is not being supportive or that they're not getting the services that they need. And Denise and I will be seeing those parents.
That kind of concerns me when you look at these issues that could be within our control. You know, such as you brought up the bullying. I don't want to have that as the last resort. That should be taken care of right away at the school.
Yes.
And the counselors have to be involved. I'm just going to say that without any evidence or anything. But somehow these type of categories that we may be able to control, I think should be proactive.
No, definitely agreed. And the reasons that these came about, you know, we wanted to be very specific in the reason they were, let's say, just moving to another school. What I think a change that I will, and I just thought of this right now, is that as if a child leaves and we are doing the survey, I want to link that reason to the school that they're going to, so that we have that we have that connection, and I can definitely see a lot of that. You know, the answers were very general, and like I said, they didn't go into anything specific. But I would hope, and I think our principals are all here and know that if things that are addressed, you know, from bullying concerns, they need to be taken seriously. They the safety. Students stress, students with anxiety, mental health issues. I know they are working with them in trying to get their children to attend school and find other avenues of support. But definitely what's under our control, do a better job so that the 5 or 10 kids that we can keep, you know, that are not leaving out of town, that we do what is in our power to try to accommodate and work with our families.
You know, and it's not only trying to keep the student enrolled, that's
The
what's
family.
best.
Yes, for the kids.
And, you know, the old adage, it takes a village to raise children. Well, this is our community. We have to do better, if at all possible, find the weak spots. So, thank you.
And thank you so much. Before I forget, thank you for putting all this together. I truly appreciate, and being able to see, you know, the data that you've, you know, compiled. I appreciate that so much. Looking at the exit surveys, the 18 that said better opportunities. This one is the one that's like a dagger.
Yes.
Kill me out.
Yes.
Yes. And I'll always come back to the high school because and I know that our elementaries are wonderful and we have a lot of activities and a lot of after school things happening. And I mean, that and middle school, we have a tremendous amount, but our high school, dang, our CTE program, our dual credits, all of those, I can't imagine anybody wanting to remove their child from the high school for what they would consider to be a better opportunity. Because we have all of that. But then it comes down to also, does our community really know? Really? Do the people in our community know? A constituent contacted me and he went on and on about how great it was that we were building on to Douglas High School and that we would have all these classes for kids that would never go to college. And I was like, I had my water hose. I thought about spraying him because I thought, you need a wake-up call, dude. But people don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
So are we putting ourselves out there? Are we putting all these wonderful things? I mean, we shower our awards and we do such a great job. I mean, you go to the high school and on the senior night, it's just tremendous, all the different things, and the kids with their scholarships. And Douglas does an amazing job at having, and Douglas High School, at having the potential to do that. But what does our community really know? And I think that that's something that we've got to put out there, is what they're doing and what they're doing right, because there's more right than wrong here.
And the other thing I'd like to mention, and I don't know without having the survey right in front of me, Denise, is that some of these that moved out of town, did some parents say moved out of town, better opportunity as well? We don't know just by looking at these numbers if this was just better opportunities internally in our community, or just if I'm moving out of town, I would have probably put better opportunity because it's a job, it's a bigger city or whatever. So that's the other thing that is ambiguous here in these numbers that I would,
So it wasn't.
No.
So the people that put moved out of town, because it was a category
By itself.
And so the people that moved out of town, now,
Could they have put,
they didn't put both.
Uh-huh.
So they just either said moved out of town, or they said a better opportunity wherever they were going.
And at 141 surveys, am I correct in remembering that earlier in the last semester, that you said that about 30% were returned? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But this is ongoing, so we do
Yeah.
this with every student.
Ah,
We try to
okay.
do it with every student that withdraws.
Okay.
And there were some parents who chose to not answer at all.
I'm sure.
I just wanted to mention that, with everything that has been said, that we're not the only ones giving education to our kids in the community. We're competing, which we never did for many a years. So, like everything else, the one that has the best is gonna get the majority of students, and this is what we should try to accomplish. Have it, and especially, like you were saying, the high school, promoting all the good things that we have in the high school out of the community so you can see what is being done, as you said, Jana. I totally agree with you.
Because I don't believe that the charter schools are teaching physics on AP physics classes and things like that, but how many people know? I'm going to always come back to that.
and we'll talk it.
That was, mine was the better opportunities. I was sitting there wondering whether we need to promote what the opportunities at the high
Here.
school and others are better. Maybe that's the wake-up call, is we need to work on our promotion. So the fact that we would be expanding the dual credit programs through Cochise College, as I said, with physics and some of these others that they may not be teaching. So people may not be aware of all the opportunities that we have. If those are better opportunities that stayed in this area, I would be very curious as to
Just what?
what those better opportunities were.
And I feel that sometimes we take it for granted. It's our, the high school. And as parents, we don't really take the time to find out what we're doing, and maybe moving to another place where they think is a better opportunity. I'd be interested in knowing how many of these students will actually return.
And we'll talk about next steps towards the end of the presentation.
It's the next slide. Okay, so what are we doing besides being worried about this? Because this is something we've been talking about since the beginning of this school year. And we've talked to, classified employees about this, certified employees about this. This is an ongoing conversation. So what have we tried to do this year to recruit? Although I agree with all of you that we need to promote our district. We need to do a better job at that. So we are advertising on KDAP, and we've done that. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard the advertisements. We're advertising with the Herald Review. The new Student Center is doing something different, and I will have Mrs. Samaniego kind of explain what the welcome package is and the idea behind that. But it will be a welcome package for all new entries, new students that enter, which will include hopefully a letter from Mayor Hewish, from Mrs. Samaniego. They'll get some incentives, and that's something new that Mrs. Samaniego started this semester. We had a conversation with the Certified Salary Committee on this particular situation, and how it could possibly impact the district. And we would like to meet and come up with recruitment strategies. So there are certified teachers from all sites. And so we will start a campaign on what we can do to not only promote our district, but to see if we can help get our enrollment back up. Okay, and then I went to a restaurant and I saw a flyer from another school here in town, and I talked to Mrs. Samaniego, and that's something that we're going to be creating and posting it in different places here.
Has there been any consideration, let's face it, today we're an online, society, of adding a section to the high school webpage, promoting it, showing what the availabilities are, the types of things in there? Because let's say if I'm looking for a school that I want to send my kids to, one of the first things I'll probably do is pull up their website. And so look and see, add a promotional section or that, saying, hey, these are the, some things that you can get done at Douglas,
So currently there is not, you go on there and they promote their activities and anything that is happening, like Mrs. Salcha said, in their Facebook page or in their website. Now, something that I gave or tasked Mrs. Cox, she will get in contact with our media arts teacher at the high school. And she has a group of students, and they do a phenomenal job in what they call their Bulldog News, or what is it that they promote, their video? DHS. Okay. They do a very good job of, and they've done videos, and they don't share it district-wide or not. But Mrs. Cox will have a conversation. I want the class to create a video done by students, for the community, where it incorporates elementary students, middle school students, and Douglas High School students, and really sharing their story of what do we have to offer. What, if you come to DUSD, this is what you're going to be offered, and the many programs and many curricular activities, because I think we need to sell ourselves. Now, bigger districts hire very expensive companies to market you. They're very, very expensive, and I've looked, at them. I think we're going to start there. I think they can do a very decent job with promoting and getting a video that is going to promote, each of the schools in addition to as a district. My idea behind the welcome letter or the welcome packet starts at our new student center. That's the first impression. that our families have. And so if we can do anything from the start, you know, we're gonna do it. So I had Alma find me and be creative, and so we ordered bags that has Douglas Unified School District. Every new student that comes to our school is gonna be issued a key, and it's a little rinky-dinky little key that we ordered, and it has a message, and it says, thank you for being a key to our success, from Mrs. Samaniego. It has a welcome back letter from Mayor Hewish, because I asked him to draft a letter that talks about Douglas and talks about our community. Some of these families are not, they come from the outside, they come from out of town, they're moving in. So Mayor Hewish did a letter. Our new student center staff is compiling resources from our community, a list of resources. So they'll get every family member that has it, whether it's 5 children, they're gonna get 5 welcome packets. And then the next piece of it is going to be a discussion that we're gonna have at our next admin meeting, is at their school offices. Their school offices need to be welcoming. And that's the first impression they get. So we're gonna be having a discussion about their school offices and being welcoming to our families and the staff that deals with parents. That's the first face that they see. Those are the first people they have conversations with. And first impressions are lasting impressions. So that's something in addition that we're doing. And then promoting, the print shop will create a flyer that we're gonna pass out, and that should be done relatively soon. And then hopefully we can have the video. I asked Denise that I want the video in less than a month, I think, or a month and a half. So,
Do we have a Facebook page?
yes, all of the schools have a Facebook
Okay.
page, the district has a Facebook page, and so, promoting ourselves and.
Yeah, because I
Yes.
see other schools
Uh-huh.
on the Facebook
Yes,
feed, so we have to do that too.
Yes,
The flyers and the packets, what about real estate companies?
yes, we're
Okay.
including information on clinics, real estate.
Oh, clinics is good.
Yeah, I mean, anything and everything that we can think of will be part of that welcome package, and contact information. And some of these kids may be returning DUSD students, but they're gonna get a packet. They're gonna get a welcome packet, and so.
Good.
So we have some work ahead.
Is that your presentation today?
One more slide.
Okay.
So the impact, which of course will lead to money. So right now, conservatively speaking, we have lost approximately $490,000. Okay, so almost 500,000. I think that's what Mr. Soto had said at our last meeting. That's where we stand right now. And so our concern is the potential loss of course, funding, which then could impact positions. Our grants are also probably going to lose money because they are based on enrollment. And so those are things that we have to consider. So we're going to have to look at budgets. We're going to have to prioritize our spending. We're going to have to look at positions and make funding adjustments. So Mrs. Samaniego asked, well, you know, the only positive that I can think of with losing enrollment would be smaller class sizes. And so teachers are happy about smaller class sizes. And I'm all for smaller class sizes, but not with this cost. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add on.
We'll get him during the budget. Members of the board, anything else regarding that? Ms. Samaniego?
No, and I think, obviously, this is not the first time we've mentioned, you know, we've been giving updates on enrollment and talked about the impact of the budget, and that's the reason we've had to do a budget revision due to enrollment. But we know that the situation, let's say the economic situation in Douglas also is impacting our community. I mean, and that is something that, you know, we have no control over, but we have control over our community, our children, and the people that do live here. And like Mr. Ramos says, we are competing, with our other 4 schools that are in town. And that has to mean something. That has to be embedded in the work that we do. We will continue to walk this path and do the work that we're committed to do, which is do what's best for our students and our community. So hopefully we can see some positive
Okay,
come out
Denise,
of
well,
this.
first of all, that was a great report. It was very informative and very thorough. The thing that really is impressive there is the fact that you people are so aware of what's going on. And I think that report illustrates that to this board, that you're on top of it, because this administration cannot sit back and just let everything wither away. The extent of your concern and your knowledge regarding this is what we need. And we're gonna talk about the budget in a minute, which is, you mentioned on the final page there, has a tremendous impact on this budget. And then some of the things that you mentioned that were alternatives are very important. That's in summarizing. So if you don't have anything else to add, again, thank you. That was a very good report. The board needed it. And thank Mrs. Salchow for continuing
Sorry.
to want more thoroughness. So, but it really does illustrate that you people are on top of it, and that's important. All right, so we're going to move on, and we're going to move now to the budget, and we'll have that done by Mr. Soto, unless you want to make some prefacing remarks.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Soto.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. President, board members. Let's just start with the report, the monthly report. There's not a lot of activity, there's not a lot of difference from last month because it's the month of December and so we were on the break. So I don't know if you have specific questions in regards of the balances at this point.
Well, go ahead. Members of the board, do you have any questions regarding the balances or any of the information that's monthly provided there? No. All right.
Yeah,
go
and
ahead.
like, again, last month we had the budget revision where we reflected that loss of enrollment up to that point. Luckily, we haven't lost, I just hoping and expecting that the loss of enrollment is gonna be kind of stable from this point forward. But like I mentioned last month too, I mean, it's, I believe that we have this school year covered in terms of that. Again, I'm hoping that there's no drastic drop in enrollment, but we have enough to cover this year. Of course, like Mr. President mentioned, we are well aware of that and the implications that this might bring for next school year. Again, we're starting to be very conservative with the spending and looking at positions if they really need to be filled at this point. But yes, right now it's too early to say what the expectation or to do forecasting, especially because we don't know. The state barely started with the budgets and all of those things. We haven't heard anything on terms of what will be the increase for next year. There's been a lot of talks about potentially giving more money for teachers. That'll be great, but they haven't said how, or is it gonna be a one-time, or is it gonna be sustainable, and all of those things. So there's a lot of stuff that we need to wait and see what happens in terms of that. I'm expecting that at least we're gonna get that 2% that we always get, regardless if we have inflations of 8%, according to the law from the 1980s, the maximum they can give us is 2%, and that's it. So again, it's really hard, especially when, inflation and the cost of living is going through the roof and we only get 2%. And I'm hoping that at least, be able to give that increase to all of our employees. So I don't know if you guys have a specific question or something that you want to talk about.
Before I involve the board, you mentioned, and I'm glad you mentioned, you said something about salaries, and of course, inevitably that was gonna come up anyway, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
let's talk about this. Always preface these remarks with that the board is always utterly concerned about the solvency and the health of the budget in this district, right?
Correct.
And being able to pay our bills and so on. But the main mission is that we have the revenues and the ability to do the best we can in the classroom for all the instruction. That's number one.
Correct.
That's why we're here, right? But you mentioned the 2% from the state. And I'm really concerned about the state of the state revenues right now myself personally. And I'm sure the board follows what's going on up there. But the legislature is so unpredictable, right, about what they will do and they won't do. And then we've got that horrific voucher program. And I was gonna use another word, but I'm glad I caught myself. But
Voucher.
and anyway, we know that is a major impact on the budget.
Correct.
They're already 660 million, I think, or something like that over budget. They budgeted 92 million. They're already saying, and we won't get into that horror story. But you mentioned 2%, and then you said 3%, because we said before, just unofficially, that we want to look at a threshold of 3%, right? And in order to maintain the assiduous program that we've been going through for the last 8 years about maintaining and increasing the budget, and we're very serious about that, and you know that. If it were possible with the finances that you have now, taking all of this information into account, that knowing that next year is gonna be very difficult, we should do everything possible by whatever means this year to do what we can. Now, I don't know when you want the contracts to come out.
I want them to come out in no later than March 1st, be able to present to the board the names of people getting a contract. And my plan is to do what every other district in Arizona does and issue contracts without a raise notification.
Okay.
And then issue a contract rider as soon as the budget is done and we are able to, that is my plan.
Okay, so we're on track, but we've got to have this conversation always, that if you're looking at 3% and if you project for the next year, and you know that budget is gonna be very lean, right? We know that already. Why can't we consider something this year to do as a precursor to the following year? In other words, if we can't do something next year, and it's gonna be minimal, and why can't we look at somehow, some way, you working that budget and making a one-time payment this year to all the employees, whatever it is, $1,500, $2,000, whatever you can come up with, any way that you can accommodate that, right? So, members of the board, we knowing that it's gonna be lean next year, and especially sustainability, even if we were to give a hefty raise, sustainability would break us, right? If things are going the way they are now. I would like to recommend that have them, Mr. Soto especially, of course, under the auspices of Mrs. Samaniego, work that budget and see if we can't give the whole staff a one-time payment. And however he can come up with it, and let him be intuitive and somehow use some imagination on how he might be able to do that. But I'm very serious about that. I'd like to see that happen, because we don't wanna make any excuses next year when we come back and say, you know what, we were all aware of it, that report that Denise just gave, all of the omens are on the table. I mean, we can see it coming, and they're not good. So if you're okay with that, and members of the board don't have any objection, I would like to see you work that budget so that, forget the 3% right now, because if you can do more on that, we'll more than be happy to do it.
Sure.
But look at a one-time payment, if Ms. Samaniego, if you think that it's feasible, and at a one-time payment sometime later this year.
I already got ahead of you.
Okay.
I had this discussion with leadership on Monday, and we're looking at our grants. We're looking at the budget, because I also mentioned at one time, maybe end of year, sort of a bonus. So we had that discussion on Monday, so we'll be looking at that.
Okay, now we know that impacts the grants as well,
Yes.
right? And so
Correct.
are you concerned about the grants for next year? Denise, knowing what you know about grants, are you concerned about those?
Yes, because of the enrollment. They're based on enrollment too, so
Right, people
funding
don't
will be less.
understand that the enrollment also affects those federal programs.
Yeah, anytime you give a raise, it impacts,
Right.
the grants as well.
Right.
So,
So,
Correct.
can you do that? Can you do that on it?
We're having discussions and
Oh,
we'll
you already
be-
had that discussion?
Yes, and we're looking at our budget.
All right, members of the board, without taking any formal type of, just kind of informally, we can basically,
I'd like to look at that direction, yeah.
okay. All right, so then, let's do that, okay? All right, so then, anything else on the budget? Members of the board, questions, comments regarding the budget? Item number 3, you didn't want to say anything about travel or anything, did you?
We have a public comment, Mr.
Okay,
Gray.
yeah, item number 3, public comments, and we have one regarding the Douglas Special Olympics from Chris Ogas, I think, is that correct?
Chris Olga.
Is Chris here?
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. President, Bahrain, Superintendent Samaniego, board members. I'm Chris Ogas, one of the volunteers of the Special Olympics here in Douglas. I also brought a couple of my babies. I call them my babies because I've been with them since they were in high school. I was a volunteer at the high school for 4 years with my son. He was also in the Special Olympics. I was under my understanding that we were going to be on the agenda for today to speak about the Special Olympics, to see about being able to use the high school track. But I don't know if we will be able to be on the agenda for next board meeting to have the other volunteers here with me, if that would be possible. And to have other Special Olympics here with me, so that way you can see how our babies like to show you how they love and will love to enjoy being around others, to show their needs and their entitlements to be part of being athletic, showing you how they love to be energetic, showing.
Let me respond, not to what you're talking about, because we normally don't respond during call of the public, but I can talk to you about procedure. I don't think you'd have any problem at all. If you want to ever use any of the district facilities, you go to the business department. And then you ask them and tell them it's for Special Olympics. What can you do for us? We want to use the track. That's what you mentioned. And the district, I'm sure Mrs. Samaniego would share the same feeling, is that if it's Special Olympics, and I'm not trying to put any thoughts in their mind or in any way supersede their authority, but if it's Special Olympics and it's usage of the track, there's generally a charge for use of district facilities, right? But if you talk to them, I'm sure that they would be very complacent and very happy to accommodate you in saying that the district, now I'm just suggesting, could co-sponsor that because it's a very worthy activity, and they could co-sponsor it, and there wouldn't be any charge for you using the track. You really don't need to come to the board for that. That's an administrative activity. So the only thing that I can tell you is this, and of course you'd work this out with them, you'd fill out the forms, is that by statute, it can't cost the district anything. But the district can give you the track and not charge you the fee for usage. The only thing is that if there's any cleanup or custodial or anything like that, or overtime, by law, the district can't give anything away. That's giving away public funds, even if it's time, because time means money to people to clean up and all those things. So if you initiate your request through the business office, and then it'll of course go to her, I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but I'm sure that Special Olympics would get special preferential treatment and the use of the track would be, unless they give me a dirty look and I'm talking out of school. But I would strongly suggest that they don't charge you and that the district co-sponsor it, okay?
We
So-
have used the field before, and there was no mess. It was just the using of practices for our kids to learn their shot puts and their javelin throws and all that. It's just that, from my understanding, that the other coaches have been trying to get a hold of the superintendent and the principals, and no phone calls have been returned.
Oh, well,
We've been trying since
I don't want
November,
to
so-
repeat that, but
That's why
knowing-
we're here.
Okay, but I'm telling you, that from my experience with this staff, all the way down the line, that doesn't sound like any of them to me, to be honest with you. That they wouldn't return phone calls, and
Well-
especially if you're representing Special Olympics. I mean, they're gonna return phone calls anyway, especially if they know that it's part of their responsibility, daily responsibility in administering the school. But if they don't return phone calls, I'm shocked, because I know those people, and
That's
and
why
I'm
I'm
sure they
shocked
would.
too. That's why I'm here.
So, but if you work through them, I don't think you need to take it any further.
Okay, I'll notify the
Well, I'm not,
main guy.
wait a minute, I'm personally not giving you approval right now. You've got to go through them.
No, I know,
I'm just offering
that's what I'm saying.
a strong opinion, okay?
No, I know what you're
Okay.
saying. I know what you're saying. That's
Okay.
why I'm saying I will notify the other president of the Special Olympics and the other volunteers that have notified me. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm saying what they had told me, that's why.
Okay,
That's-
good.
yes,
Okay, and if
okay.
that's the case, then if you personally feel that way, then there's no objection to you coming to the board, but it's their function, their duty, okay?
So I will notify them and let them know,
Yes.
speak
Yeah,
with them.
Mr. Soto would be the person you start
And
with,
if-
and
if-
fill out the forms.
If I may, it's not a response to the comment, but we have been in communication, so we're just waiting for the form to get filled out.
So
Okay.
I'll just let
Yes.
them know to come in on tomorrow when we have our meeting, and let them know to go in and fill out the form.
Yes.
Since they're the main ones,
Yes.
I'll let them do that and fill out the form. So we can start our practices and have our babies warm up, get ready for our competition.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Good luck. I'm sure they'll be very accommodating.
Oh, yeah, and I hope you all can enjoy because they're very happy. We didn't make it to our softball tournament because we didn't have enough, but hopefully y'all could be there for their others. Thank you and have a good evening.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, I have kind of a question that it's not directly in relation to the comments, but just something I'm curious about. I know that in years past, I believe the high school or the district, they had a liaison with Special Olympics. Is that still in place? Does either the high school or the district have a liaison or somebody that does a liaison with Special Olympics?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Smith. I couldn't be able to answer that. I know the Special Olympics has been an event that has happened, but in years past, I don't know that there was a designated person as a liaison, but I can try to find out.
I personally, I would
Okay.
like to, to know if we don't have one or, you know, if that's a possibility of starting something, so. But, yeah. That's all, that was my comment. I was
Okay.
just curious about.
All right? We all got the message?
Okay.
Okay. We don't have anybody else?
No, sir.
Item number 2, consent agenda items. Approval of the following consent agenda items, payroll and expense vouchers as listed. Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes,
Mr. Berrien?
Yes, item 3A, discussion information on student enrollment. We've already done that. We incorporated that into item
Mr.
B.
Berrien, if I
I'm
may, just for record purposes, I'm asking to remove item I from the agenda, so that can be on the record.
Okay, we're going to remove item I unless I hear any objection from any members of the board. No objection for removing it? All right, that's officially removed. Item 3, discussion information on the Douglas High School construction update, Ms. Samaniego.
Okay, so the DHS Construction, we are officially the owners of the new addition to the high school as of December 22nd at 5 p.m. Both Mr. Soto and I met with the architect. We had our official walkthrough where we walked the site with the Douglas High School admin team and members of our leadership team, and we addressed some of the areas that still need to be fixed or touched upon. So they have officially substantial completion has been issued by our architect as of that day. So that means that AMP has through January the 22nd, which is the end of their 30-day substantial completion time, to take care of the list of items that were issued by the architect with our help. And Rob is coming down on Friday to see the progress. I spoke to him right before the meeting, and according to him, there's been a lot of movement happening. Our staff has been there. Marco has been an instrumental part, I will say, he's my eyes and ears at the building, from taking pictures, and because his staff is doing a lot of the work in terms of our work for IT. So he's there often. We will be meeting on Friday with the architect. In addition to that, on tomorrow, we have a planning meeting with DHS in terms of a move-in phased approach. We can now move in, but the company is still doing bits and pieces of things. And so on Friday, as of tomorrow, we will have a set planned approach that I will communicate via governing board update to you. Just off of the conversation that we had with Mrs. Rodriguez, was that she would like to first move the ESS teachers and students. Then it would be CTE. And last but not least would be our science department, because they have a lot of things. And I hope that our science teachers do what we do when we move to a new home. We get rid of as much as we can from our old home, so that, they have less things to take with them. That was our conversation on December 22nd, but we will have a meeting tomorrow, which will include Mr. Pineda with food service. He actually took his staff, some of his staff members, I believe, did he say over break? Mr. Pineda? The last day on Friday. So he took some of the staff and they looked at the new site. They're super excited, can't wait. And how they're going to, and our plan with the cafeteria is when we make that decision, he would feed the children for about a week, just utilizing the premises, and then still operate with Joel Carlson cafeteria. By week 2, then start operating and using all of that equipment. The new equipment will be installed shortly, in a couple weeks. The new ovens.
There's equipment to arrive during the week of the 22nd, so we're planning to install it then.
So we have that. Now, our biggest problem right now, I will say, are pigeons. Can you believe it or not? Yes. So our lovely pigeons in Douglas have found a home right at the new cafeteria, where we have outside seating planned for, and it's supposed to be a very nice seating area. But our pigeons are doing their business right where the tables go, and so our staff has been looking at ways to put some pigeon mesh. It didn't work. The pigeons still did their business, and so Mr. Durazo gave us a tip on what he did at his home. So we're looking into this repellent or thing that's for pigeons that worked at his home. So we're gonna buy some of that and try it, because if the pigeons keep doing their business there, then that kind of defeats the purpose of us having that outside seating area, and it's right at the end of the roof at the cafeteria. And so pigeons are a problem at all schools, to tell you the truth, a lot of our schools. And so that seems to be our biggest problem right now with that. But we're excited. As soon as we finalize our plan, I will communicate with the board as far as, moving and things like that. The company, when they found out that, we weren't they thought teachers were gonna move in over break, and I said, you don't understand, that's not how it works. And so, we have been talking, and, if ESS is ready to move and those classrooms are completely finished, then, we're looking at maybe February, but if we need to, then we're gonna move in, let's say, over spring break and be ready to occupy most of the classrooms in the area. So, and we will set up a walkthrough with you all. Alma, if you're available on Friday, Alma will let you know, and then we can walk on Friday.
Does the architect know that the board wants to sit down with them and have an exit meeting regarding a lot of the other ramifications of the acceptance of that building in total? Yeah, we want to sit down and talk to them about.
At a board meeting, or?
Well, we
how would
could,
you-
we could designate a subcommittee of the board or something, but I don't think that this board should let them, after almost a year and a half, walk away scot-free. And it's all incumbent, and it's gonna be on the architect. But we need to let them know how strongly we feel, if we do feel that way, that we wanna talk to them about those different recitals in the contract. And I hate to end up on a sour note like that, but reality is reality. And I know you've talked to Rob, and I know Rob doesn't want to talk to me because I've talked to him a couple of times about it. But we've got to be responsible, and we owe it to the taxpayers of this district that if we've got $735 a day coming in punitive damages and delay fees, we should get it. The taxpayers of this community should get that money. And it'd go a long way to, we hopefully put it in the enterprise fund. And then you can wildly spend it like you do anyway. But seriously, we need to talk to them, and I don't want to belabor that point, but we could either have a board meeting with all the board members here, and we don't want to get a dog and pony show. I mean, we want to sit down and we want to talk serious to them about the recital in that contract that allows us to charge liquidated damages, all right? So you tell them that
Do we
the
wanna-
board is interested in doing it, right?
So a special board meeting, it would be a
Okay.
special board meeting.
All right. Is that all? Is that,
Yes.
members of the board, do you have any questions or comments regarding that?
I just wanted to know, did you have a specific time on Friday?
Alma will, will 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock work for you? Yes. Not too, 11? 11? Okay.
It's too cold.
Okay, 11?
Okay, yeah, okay.
I see Mr. Pineda sitting out there. Are you gonna have a dry run with the board, with pozole and whatever?
I'll be open, yes.
No, I'm talking about before you.
Pozole, eh?
I understand he fixes pozole up there, is that right?
Yeah, they have it on the menu.
It's on the menu, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding you, of course, but if you wanna do it, of course, you can do it. All right, that was for information only, so we'll move on to B, discussion information on the Douglas High School, I'm sorry, because we skipped the other
Certified
one.
hires.
Item C, discussion action on the approval of certified hires, Ms. Samaniego.
I do have one correction. Era Valenzuela it says after-school academic enrichment program. The correction is that she is being recommended for just the after-school tutoring program. She is she's a teacher already and just being recommended for tutoring, and Adriana Sodari as a substitute teacher.
Does that change
No.
anything? Okay. Entertain a motion to do that.
I move to approve with that recommendation.
Is there a second? Second. By Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Brain?
Yes, item D, discussion action on the approval of classified hires, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, we have a bus driver and an ESS instructional aide for Sarah Marley.
Mr. Lindeman,
I move to approve the classified hires.
is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Members of the board, discussion?
Ms. Samaniego, are we still short of bus driver? or
No, I
we're
think
getting there?
we're One?
There's still
One?
1.5.
1.5 short.
Still.
Well, this is good.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
better than where we were at.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion, board members? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item E, discussion action on the approval of classified resignations, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, they are all rehirable. Alma Herrera is just resigning from the 21st Century Program. She is now the receptionist in HR for DUSD, so she started her new position, and you board approved her for that position in December. We have Jennifer Gonzalez, IA, and Esperanza Romero, parent liaison at Ferris.
The date.
Mr. Lindeman.
And the date.
The resignation effective for Esperanza is she changed it to 1/17/24.
Okay, I move to approve the classified resignations with that specific change.
Is there a second? Second. By Mr. Smith. Any discussion, members of the board? There's no, by making those changes,
No.
those salary changes, right? Yeah, okay. Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes, item F, discussion action on the approval of classified transfers, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented.
Entertain a motion, Mr.
I move to approve the classified transfers.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Ms. Salchow. Any discussion, members of the board? Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item G, discussion action on the approval of volunteers, Ms. Samaniego.
As presented, there are two volunteers for wrestling. And you have the background information.
Get a motion on the floor.
Move to approve the the volunteers.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Smith. Any discussion regarding that? Members of the board, did you get to see the background information on the volunteers? And
They have experience, so.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Bereen?
Yes. Item G, discussion action on the, excuse me,
H.
we did that. Item H, discussion action on the approval of donations received for Douglas Unified School District, Ms. Samaniego.
Yes, we have a donation of $2,000 to Douglas High School Band, and donation of $261.08 from Donors Choose to a Stevenson third grade classroom project.
Mr. Lindeman,
Move to approve the donations.
is there a second?
Second.
By Mr. Ramos.
Ms.
Discussion.
Alcha.
Miss Alcha.
Pardon?
Miss Alcha.
Oh,
was
Ms.
second.
Salcho, wasn't it? He coughed it, okay, it's all right.
It's okay.
Same thing.
It's all right.
You know, speaking of those uniforms, is there any questions or discussion regarding the donation, members of the board? Speaking of those uniforms, I'm not,
What
it doesn't say
uniforms?
uniforms, the donation to the band. It prompted we had a discussion regarding uniforms for the middle schools a while back about the,
Athletic.
do you remember about the equity in the procurement of uniforms and things for both schools and that it's equally distributed,
The funding, yes.
the funding?
Yes.
So is that still the case that if let's say Huber, they're not making, if you got it in the M&O, and we went over this, and I really don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but you've told the principals at the two middle schools that they have X amount of dollars in their budget, right? And that it's not a specific line item for athletic stuff, right? It's just, they can spend it the way they see fit according, with approval, right?
Correct.
All right, so if they want to take, there's nothing specified in there as a line item for uniforms, right, for athletics?
Not necessarily is a line for supplies, but they can use that to purchase shirts, jerseys,
Okay,
socks,
so,
whatever
so
they
if,
need,
so if our BMS buys warm-ups and nice jerseys, and they do it within their discretion at RBMS, and Huber decides that they don't want to, and they make the kids buy them on their own, then that's a principal's responsibility, right?
Right, like a regular budget, correct.
All right, so then I think parents need to know that if one of those schools buys uniforms, and the district buys them, and then they come to a board member and they say, well, they made my kid buy it at the other school, they made them buy the uniform. They had a fundraiser or whatever, and they bought them. You don't talk to them about, you don't talk about those administrators about, there's gotta be some equity, especially because of perception, right? And I know that might have been the case here recently, but it doesn't warrant a real long discussion. I just wanna make sure that the budget is built that way and that you give them the money and it's discretionary on
For
their
the needs
part,
they have,
right?
yes, correct.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Salcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Breen?
Yes, item I, discussion action on the approval of out-of-state travel for migrant.
We're removing
Oh,
that.
that's when you
Yes,
removed.
uh-huh.
I'm sorry. J, discussion action on the waiving of the requirement of second classroom observation for 2023-24 school year pursuant to ARS 15-537. G, Ms. Samaniego.
Okay, so this is something we do every year, and it's based on policy GCORA and ARS 15537, which is all part of the evaluation expectations and policy. So our classroom teachers get evaluated by their school administrator. They, if they're a continuing teacher, which means that they've been a teacher for more than 3 years, they are able to be provided a list to the governing board if they had one of the two high remarks, highly effective or effective, for foregoing the second observation that is in the policy. Now, it doesn't have to be, it's not a given that every principal, it will automatically submit a recommended list to the board for approval. If I have a school who the principal decided, I'm going to evaluate all of my teachers more than once. And so that is their prerogative as an administrator. So you have here the list of teachers that were submitted to Mrs. Cox.
They were submitted to you. You've got them all. Let's get a motion on the floor.
I move to approve.
Is there a second? Mr. Ramos? Discussion, board members. Any discussion? Mr. Smith?
I think I kind of asked about this last time. Again, what is the percentage of the teachers that are getting the excellent or outstanding, the highest appraisal that they can get that waives, gives us the ability to waive these? What is the percentage of the teachers getting that?
About 60%,
60%.
based on the list.
Based on the list, so 60% are getting the highest evaluation possible off
So
there.
they're able to forego the second.
Right, but in order to forego that, they have to get that highest evaluation, that highest level, correct?
So the people who are not able to forego could also have a high rating, effective at least. But because they're probationary teachers within the first 3 years, are
So-
not able.
So it's possible even more than 60% are getting this extremely high rating?
Yes.
Okay. And where these ratings are sent down by who?
Well, we use
The
the Daniel.
criteria for the
Yeah,
rating?
the Danielson evaluation tool, which is board adopted, and so it's a rubric
Okay.
that is presented at the very beginning of the year, and it has 4 ratings and different domains that they have to, from teaching, from professionalism, from instruction, but it's called the Danielson evaluation tool.
Okay. Is there the possibility to expand upon that, or do you have to stay with that criteria? With, let's say just
As
the
far as-
district.
Yeah,
the
as far as
district
the
itself.
evaluation, we could definitely expand or even change our evaluation tool. We just have to bring it to the board for approval, because
Okay.
what they have
My-
is for approval.
I kind of have
Mm-hmm.
a problem when 60% or more of the people are getting the absolute highest rating possible. that tells me that there's usually one of two things. Either the criteria are too easy, that our people excel so much that they've got this down, so we need to tighten up on the criteria. Or the second, less pleasant thing is that the evaluators are just rubber stamping this so that we don't have to go through a second evaluation. You know, that's logically what it looks like. I want to tend to believe the first one, that our teachers excel to a certain extent, so we need to expand on this criteria and make it tougher, where, an appropriate criteria for appraisal, usually out of the entire body, 15 to 20% are getting that absolute highest rating. Then if there's a second level, then another 15 or 20. The largest percentage would naturally be middle line, and then you're going to have, again, a low percentage of ones that are getting the below average, something like that. So whenever we're getting that high of people scoring that high on the criteria, it tells me that something needs to be modified.
So if I may, for our next meeting, I will have a breakdown of each category for you, the percentage in each category.
Okay.
And we can certainly, if that is the prerogative of the board, we can certainly start looking at, we'd have to look at different evaluation tools, because the Danielson framework or evaluation tool is a set rubric. You can't step out of that if, by just modifying it or making it tougher, because it's created that way. But definitely there are other evaluations out there that we could certainly look.
Do we still have an evaluation committee?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. And my next question would be, now, this is for teachers who are satisfactory to exceeds expectations, or is this just for exceeds expectations?
This is for all categories, so it could
Highly
be
effective and effective.
highly effective.
Okay, sorry,
And
I'm
developing.
dating myself big time here, sorry.
And
So-
developing.
Okay, so this would be effective and highly effective. So we're looking at the highest and the second highest group. So everything below that would receive 2 evaluations. Okay. I know that last year we had a principal who opted out to keep her staff on 2 evaluations. And I really appreciate that, because
And
that's knowing.
this year as well.
This year as well, okay. So the principals have, or administrators, sorry, they have that ability to bring that forward. So we're not looking at all.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Your point's well taken, Mr. Smith, but the evaluation is the major component of any administrator's job, regardless of whether it's classified, whatever. The district is responsible for ensuring that those evaluators are competent.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying about, the evaluator probably isn't that, but if we have trust and confidence, regardless of what the instrument is or the rubric, then we have to, as a board, to me, we're lay people, but as board members, but we have to go by what the administration has inculcated in their staff as far as the responsibility of doing what is recommended by the rubric or the instrument. And if we have confidence in our staff and we think that they're qualified evaluators, and by the way, they all have to be qualified evaluators, then we can ask the questions. But to me, as a former educator and administrator, if I have somebody below me that, or even as a department head, if I went and evaluated some, I would hope that the administration would think that what I evaluated and whatever the criteria I used was valid and that it was objective. And so that's my feeling about this. And by the way, did you include the statute for the board, 537, did you include that on the agenda? Is it in the agenda? The statute itself?
No.
No, as background information? No,
No.
but we
Okay.
can send it to the board.
Well, maybe Mr. Smith, not that he needs to be educated on, but he needs to see why, it's in the statute. How do you do that?
Right, and I'm aware of the stat, and that's one of the reasons why I was sitting there saying, I firmly believe that our teachers excel amount, and that's what it said, given the criteria. To be honest, all the evaluation criteria sets that I've seen throughout the years, you need to expand on them at some point, because people begin to do their job so well, then you have that high percentage of people that are getting the absolute top rating in there. And I'm not saying that the evaluators are not. I choose to believe our teachers are doing that well, So my thing is, then we need to make that criteria a little bit harder for them. And in my opinion, it is always one of the best things you can do for the people that you evaluate is give them a very, I'm not going to say difficult, but it makes it a very fair appraisal so that they can see any places where they need to improve. If it's like everybody is doing great, you don't really see where the next level is that you want to be as that teacher or so. So if you tighten up on those criteria a little bit, it gives them that advantage. And I just think that's better for them to give them something to strive for. And that's what makes them continue to just be outstanding.
And if
So-
I may, an area that we did revisit and I felt that was beneficial to all of our administrators was that they just all went through the revised qualified evaluator training a few months ago. And I will tell you, the feedback that I got from them was that was the best training that they had received as far as evaluation. And so everything that they've learned, we are modifying and making some changes to even some of the forms that we're using, not that we're changing the evaluation tool, but some of the pieces that were presented by our ADE presenters, which ultimately helps our administrators be the best evaluators of their staff. And so we did that a few months ago, and we're going to be implementing some of those in the second round, for next year, because we have to make some changes, tweak some forms and things like that are within the Danielson framework. So maybe that's going to even help a lot more.
Is the Danielson recommended by the state?
Yeah.
And I hasten to say this, but one of the things that I thoroughly have all the confidence and trust in them and all the evaluators at the building level. But there's one area that does bother me, and in the whole schematic of the evaluation, the high school has department heads, and those department heads are supposed to be knowledge in their subject matter. But they don't evaluate their departments in all cases. They're evaluated by an administrator who probably doesn't know anything about chemistry. So what that evaluator can do is go in there and can get the feel for classroom management, organizational skills, all of those things that are part of the rubric. But knowledge of subject matter, there's no way that someone who has no knowledge at all is going to go in there and be able to give a valid evaluation on that part. So you have to trust the rest of the components there. But that's always been a sore spot with me, that the high school department heads who are certified and qualified to teach that subject matter, supposedly, that they don't evaluate their staff. It's done by the administrators in the building. So I've always wondered if there was ever a termination, and I always bring this up to them because the first thing that an attorney will look at in an executive session will say, I'd like to see what the qualifications of your evaluator. And if they said, well, my client here is a chemistry teacher. And he was evaluated by a person that taught PE. And, so you're not getting the true the breadth of the knowledge of that person. So anyway, that's just an afterthought, and she hates it when I bring that up. But it's something that I feel personally very strong about.
I agree with you on that.
All right,
Yes.
but I still have to say in the same breath that if they have confidence, I do, in the evaluators in the other areas, then we have to go by that. All right, so you will get a copy of that 537, right, on that today. All right. Are we?
You have
pardon?
to do a motion.
Yeah,
I have a motion.
Yeah,
I
we
have
have a
to-
motion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vote.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes, item K, discussion action on the approval to continue using Wells Fargo for the deposit of auxiliary and revolving funds. Mr. Soto.
As presented, we have been using Wells Fargo for many, many, many years. We're very happy with them. They, of course, manage our auxiliary funds and revolving funds, and the recommendation is to keep them.
Get a motion on the floor.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
And board members, you need to know, and Mr. Soto is fully aware of it, those aren't all of the funds of the district. That's just the auxiliary. The rest of our funds are at the county office. All right, just so you know that. So it's really not that much. Yeah, I mean, it compared to the total amount of the.
Yes, compared to that, yes.
I mean, not that, you know, we minimize it, but it.
This includes the student activity funds too, right?
Correct.
At Wells Fargo.
Correct.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes, item L, discussion action to approve the hearing officers and procedures pursuant to ARS 15-541 and 15-843. Ms. Samaniego.
This is a list of hearing officers that you will approve, and what we will do, once approved, is continue to be the long-term hearing officer for long-term suspension hearings. So you have myself, Denise Cox, Katie Walker, Deb Herrera, and the list of trust hearing officers that was presented by the trust.
All with a tremendous background and experience. So I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
By Mr. Lindemann, second.
Second.
By Mr. Ramos. Any discussion, members of the board, regarding those hearing officers?
I just wonder if there's any other time that you need to expand the list.
Well, the trust hearing officer list has, God,
50, 60?
50, 60 that we could go outside of our list. Could we expand? You know, I wouldn't put Mr. Soto on a long-term hearing list
Hell
or
no.
things like that. But, you know,
I was
it's
just wondering
difficult.
if there's ever a need, but the trust can
Oh, yes.
send more than
they-
one
yes.
person.
Oh, no, definitely.
Yeah.
There's numerous people on the trust list.
Well, Mr. Soto might do it if he got paid, but by the way, they don't get paid, right?
No,
The
no,
hearing
no.
officer, just for your information, they're not paid. All right, roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Burring?
Yes. Informational items, Ms. Samaniego?
Just a reminder that Monday, the 15th, is Martin Luther King holiday. Our district spelling bee will be on January the 23rd at Douglas High School Auditorium, and our next board meeting is on February the 6th.
So you're going to look into us talking to the architect?
Yes.
And then also, did you get any information about the bond for the gym that I want the board to consider? Did you, without a lot of discussion, did you contact them?
No, I haven't contacted Stifle yet, but I'll do that pretty soon.
How long ago has that been that we discussed that? It's been a month, right? And you haven't
No.
contacted them yet?
It's been a month.
Well, you've been busy. You've been busy, and of course, we had vacation, of course, you know, as always, I'm joking with you. Item 5, executive session. The governing board may vote into executive session to consider a student's appeal to the recommendation of the hearing officer concerning the long-term suspension of student A pursuant to ARS 15-843 subsection A and subsection B8. The board can discuss and vote on the recommendation of the hearing officer in executive session. Mr. Lindemann,
I move to enter into executive session.
is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? And that to consider the appeal of the student?
Yes. Yes.
Roll call.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Alcha?
Yes.
Mr. Lindemann?
Yes.
Mr. Ramos?
Yes.
Mr. Brain?
Yes, we're going to take a 5-minute break
Okay.
before we do that, okay?
Hold on.
We have to go back into session.
You have to go back into open session.
Oh, I'm sorry, we always have to check with him. You ready, Michael? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
By Mr. Lindeman,
Second?
by Mr. Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.